if you can be muted when you're not talking, it will be good. Interviewing last week and somebody's cat decided to be very present. Okay, so I think we're going to be working on the So we are live on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. And we've got a couple of minutes out to just allow people to still join, since we said we'd start at 7. I don't think this will be overly long, so you'll all get some time back, or if you want, you can go back and watch it again. Might be your choice for the day. So Saturday, the 27th of April, which is quite upsetting because that means May is on Wednesday, and I'm not prepared for it to be that far into the year already. We're just sitting on YouTube, I think, showing away in the background. So just for anybody that's joining us, this is our town hall event to discuss site selection. For those who are not familiar with the town hall or town hall event, it has been pointed out that maybe that language isn't as common within the UK. It simply means a meeting where people would talk to the usual public authorities dealing with something in a safe space to be able to raise any concerns and hear any presentations about people. So we've just hit 7 o'clock. It is Saturday, the 27th of April in 2024. I'm Meg McDonald. I am the division head for one of the division heads for promotions for Glasgow 2024. And we will be in Glasgow in August, as I hope you all will be joining us. It is going to be conversation tonight with our WSFIS division about the process of site selection. And we also have a guest star in the form of Joyce Lloyd, who is the bid chair for the 2026 WorldCon. So I am going to hand over to my panelists to introduce themselves, and we're going to start with Catherine.
Hi, I'm Catherine Duval, and I am the Deputy Division Head for WSFIS.
Naveed.
Hi, I'm Naveed Khan. I'm the area head for site selection at this year's WorldCon.
And Thomas.
Hi, I'm Thomas Westerberg, the Deputy Area Head for site selection in this year's WorldCon.
Brilliant. And Joyce.
Hi, my name is Joyce Lloyd, and I'm the bid chair for LA in 2026.
And Joyce is very kindly joining us. Well, she's poorly, so any small moments of coughing we're benefiting here. So first of all, just to put it into sort of context, Catherine, why don't you tell us a little bit about what WSFIS, or the World Science Fiction Society's part is, and what are the 3 main aspects that have to be observed by that division?
Yeah, the WSFIS division handles those things that are specified in the Constitution that need to happen for any World Science Fiction Convention to happen. We have a division head, Nicholas White, couldn't make it here today. Myself as a deputy division head. And then we have 3 different areas that we focus on. Obviously, site selection, which you're going to hear about today. Another is the business meeting, where people who are at the convention, who are members, are able to bring up issues and talk about things they'd like to see differently, or bring proposals about future conventions. And you can do this. We're going to have a town hall in June that'll talk about some of the ways you can do that. And then the other probably quite famous part of WSFS is the Hugo Awards, which we did have a lovely town hall a week ago, and you can watch more about the Hugo administration. And I'm also a member of the Hugo administration team, as well as being the deputy division head. But I don't want to go into that. You can go see the town hall if you want to know more info on that.
Their town hall on the Hugos was last weekend, Saturday the 20th, and it is on our YouTube channel for you to watch back. It was a very interesting event, and I learned a lot from it, actually. So that was very helpful as a WSFS rube, so to speak, not always up to date with the Constitution. So as area head for site selection, why don't you talk us through what that process kind of is?
So, starting at first principles, site selection is how we choose where the Worldcon is going to be in 2 years' time. So in 24, we're going to choose the Worldcon in 26. And basically, that means putting your money down as if you were going to be joining a convention in a sort of supporting fashion. And then you can get to choose which convention you would like to be the Worldcon. It's quite simple and straightforward. We're doing it all electronically this year, and it's all we require from folk is you pay the voting fee, you vote, preferably electronically, though you can return your ballot using paper mail, and then we count out the results on the Saturday of the convention, and we announce them on the Sunday.
So are there regulations about how somebody can bid to be a Worldcon site?
You have to basically come up and say, I want to run a Worldcon, and you have to do that. You have to register the documents that you need, which are quite simple and straightforward. You'll see the documents that LA have registered, which is basically, we're going to have this World Convention at a particular location, which is their conference center. It's going to be associated with this hotel for where people can stay, and the location, obviously LA, and the time. So it's quite light in terms of what you actually have to say, 2 and a bit years before the convention. But it gives people an idea and an understanding of what they're voting for, and then they can hopefully make a informed choice.
And I believe you have to file paperwork. There's a deadline for that.
Yeah, it was like
180 days, I think, before the first day of convention. Thomas is nodding, so I'm going to throw
Yes.
save you from that. throw it to Thomas. Is that correct?
You need to unmute, Thomas.
Yeah, the deadline for filing for the site selection we're doing this year was in February. Yeah.
Yeah.
The deadline comes from the WSFS Constitution.
Okay,
It's
so it's
specified
all
there,
definitely, yeah. And it's set based working back from the start of the next.
Yes, exactly.
So it always is always feeding in. So that's good to know. Okay, so how will this process be managed, Tom? Like, how are you looking at it?
It's in the like when we're me and Navid were originally selected for our roles, we did planning for the timetable and made the also planning like about which methods of voting we wanted to do. Then spent a lot of time like testing the solutions we want to use. Then when the February came, then we started expecting those file documents to be sent to us, and after we received them, we went through them, that checked that they did meet the requirements that were needed. And also after that, we also communicated that to, because we only had one team sending documents, the LA team led by Joyce, and then we communicated to Joyce that their documents were okay. Then after that, we started preparing the collect the information for the ballot from various sources, and then whatever is required in the WSWS rules, also collected information from Joyce about what's necessary to all the details that so that the LA bid is correctly represented in the ballot. And then we also did a lot of background work assuring that we're technically ready to go to so that not entirely there yet, but soon that the technical part is ready. We'll probably come back to that later.
Yeah. So when we receive the documents, we make those publicly available, aren't they? They're available on our website via kind of the WSFA site selection page, and anybody can refer to them.
Yes. There's a page for site selection in the Glasgow 2024 website, and LA bid filing documents are there, and there's also a link to the LA website.
For those of us in the webinar, I've just posted that into the chat, and I'll make sure that that's included on the YouTube page for you to be able to refer back to later. So the I'm gonna throw back to Naveed for the technical part, because as you just mentioned some of the solutions, and Naveed, you mentioned before the you could vote by paper ballot, but what's the preferred method? You said it was electronic. What's the
it's hopefully simple and straightforward. We're partnering with Election Buddy, so they did the voting in a couple of previous WorldCons for site selection, so they have history, and that technology has been used before. We're using the same technology. So as a person who's registered to attend or support Glasgow WorldCon, you are entitled to vote in site selection if you pay an additional fee of £45, which becomes your supporting membership of whichever WorldCon wins. This year we only have one site, really, which is LA in 26. So you pay 45 quid to vote. That 45 quid gets converted to a supporting membership for LA, assuming it wins, which, unless something really radical happens, that should be a foregone conclusion. But we have to go through process, so everything's fair and open and above board. So if you're a person who wants to vote or would like to go to LA, the simplest and easiest and cheapest way is to vote, because you pay your £45, and then at a later date you convert that to a full attending membership, and you become a member of that convention, an attending member of that convention, and that's the cheapest way to do it. So if you live in LA, this is a great way to do it.
Great.
So go back. So if you're a person who wants to do that, you have to go log into your Glasgow 2024 page, and you then will see the stuff you bought. You'll see your membership. You'll see your WSFS membership, and above that, it'll have a wee tab called activities. Voting is an activity, apparently. So if you click on the activity tab, it'll come up and ask you if you want to vote, and if you click on that, it will take you to the Stripe payment mechanism, which is the same mechanism for when you join the Glasgow 24, and you pay your £45, and then when you go back to that page, it'll now say you can vote. This is all strictly not true because it's not quite live yet. It will be live probably around mid-May, but you have a long time. I mean, mid-May till August. You can really decide. Do I want to vote for LA or not vote for LA?
So we're aiming for it going live. That's where it'll be positioned, which is where we see as Glasgow members most of the activity we're associated with.
So the process is slightly, okay, I'll use that techie word, clunky, because payment and voting aren't integrated per se. So once you've once you've paid and are eligible to vote, takes a bit of time for us to update the database with Election Buddy and for them to email you a link or a ballot that you can download and print and send back or fill in electronically on the website, on their website.
On their website.
So
I guess it's a follow-up question. So people can vote in advance electronically or by postal ballot. The postal ballot would have to arrive by when?
I think we said 1st of August. Is that right, Thomas?
Yes, we set the deadline for 1st of August.
For paper.
Yeah.
So everybody remember that, because the world is round and time zones exist, and that isn't when you put it into the postal box.
That's when
every Christmas card I've ever sent.
That's when we receive it. That's when we receive it, because it could be sitting in a small post box in outer Mongolia, still waiting.
Yeah, exactly. So it's when it gets to the designated spot, which is what we had to point out with the Hugo ballot, because sometimes we forget that it just doesn't transport, or I forget that it doesn't just transport. But can you also vote at Glasgow?
You can. We will have a desk in Hall 4, and you can come along, and we should have. It hasn't 100% been decided, but we should have a couple of laptops where you can just log on and vote. So you don't need to bring your own devices. You can just use our device to pay and vote.
Okay,
we will apparently take cash as well, but that's it, cash or Stripe.
Okay, so good. And probably not checks.
We're not taking checks because bank accounts and money laundering and God knows what. Mind you, cash.
Okay, that's very helpful. I do know that can sometimes cause a bit of an issue. So we can vote by post, we can vote electronically, and we can vote in person on site at the time. So lots of opportunities to be able to show up. Votes are counted on the Saturday, and then they are announced at the business meeting on the Sunday.
On the Sunday, that's great. So we'll finish on Saturday noon, British summertime. Basically, because there's that lag with the election buddy, we just wanted to give ourselves some time to finish off rather than work into the midnight hours. Also make mistakes when you're tired.
But and there's a team that will count. It's cross-checked.
So everything's done by election buddy. So we don't know how you voted or if you voted. So it's all the ballot is secret. They'll count it all electronically, and that's that basically. The other thing to mention, by the way, before I forget, it's
a small correction to previous. We are still gonna have to count the paper ballots that arrive by mail in the beginning of the Glasgow WorldCon.
Okay, that sounds sensible.
Yeah, assuming that some paper ballots do arrive.
So we've got
the number has been very low in recent years.
We have an interesting question from Tina in the chat here, who says, if your mail in your vote arrives too late, will you still be registered as a supporter for the next WorldCon? Is that tied to the payment or to the vote?
To the payment.
It's tied to the payment. So
payment.
If it misses the count, it would still be a supporter, and it would still be rolled over somewhere.
Yes. Exactly.
Wonderful.
Joyce just cares about your money. She doesn't care how you voted.
Wished. And you can vote. You can vote for LA. You can vote you can abstain in your vote, and you can write in free text. So, okay.
Let me just elaborate on that a wee bit. So
Yeah.
It's a preferential vote system. So in the days when you had more than one convention, real convention bidding, you could say, I prefer LA or I prefer New York or whatever you like. And you could then rank your choices. And it used the single transferable vote system without getting too complicated. You'd see if you got the most votes to give you 50% first past the post, as it were. If they weren't, then you looked at how the second preference votes are, and so on. So we kept that. It doesn't really make much sense, but I've kept it anyway because the Constitution seems to imply it. So if you want to vote for LA, you need to say give it one, position one. We can just leave it at that, or you could rank the other things as well. You could say no preference two, and yeah, it doesn't make much sense, but they're there.
That's good to know, because we have had uncontested years for the last couple. So although I have to say, as somebody who still was quite nervous to find out, did we indeed win at Chicago? Because it's good to have it actually told to you. But that it's still there, because there can be sort of competing bids. So I think it would be a really good time to hear from Joyce about the bid. But Catherine, what were you going to add in?
Just one more thing, and it showed up in the chat too, but I wanted to mention it. There was an option even to say none of the above.
Yeah, that's right. That's
if you wanted, and then it would go to the business meeting to deal. It's not a very likely situation. Most people don't feel that strongly against bids, but it is an option that's out there.
In practice, the business meeting would probably look who were the bidding committees and probably choose among them.
Right.
Because business meeting actually doesn't have that many options to choose from.
No.
But yeah.
Well,
Kent is right to point out that those are also in the ballot.
No, and I think that is really useful, because it does show, the WSFS Constitution is consistently allowing for these things, and we are adhering to those aspects therein, which is, I think, super important. Luckily, we do have a very strong bid, and it's going to be really interesting to hear from Joyce. So, Joyce, would you please tell us about LA in 2026?
Well, I guess I'm going to do a small public service announcement. Your speakers are not going out. It is my voice. I have a wicked cold, and it is going in and out, and the cough is happening, and I apologize for any disruption of my presentation. Second of all, I'd like to thank you for inviting me to talk about our bid to host the 2026 Worldcon in Los Angeles. I'm really quite pleased to be speaking to you about this. Obviously, I'm here. 2026 is a particularly auspicious date for this event in Los Angeles. Not only does it mark the 20th year since LA hosted a Worldcon, but it is also the 80th anniversary of Pacificon 1, which was the first Worldcon held in Los Angeles. So we've got a double auspicious. Some of you may be familiar with the Southern California Institute for Fan Interest. That's who I'm representing today. Skiffy Inc., as we're better known as, is one of the most well-established fandom organizations in the US. And together we ran the three most recent Los Angeles Worldcons, 1984, 1996, and 2006. We have a volunteer base, we have experience, and we have the enthusiasm to put on an exceptional Worldcon. Not only is Los Angeles a world-class city with deep roots in science fiction, it's a city with rich history and fandom. It was the 1984 Worldcon that gave birth to the term cosplay. Nobuyuki Takahashi coined the phrase after attending the Worldcon that year. That year was also the largest Worldcon ever held in North America. But more importantly, this is the city of Ray Bradbury, of Octavia Butler, of Stephen Barnes, of Lee Brackett, of Robert Bloch, and somehow I've just gotten caught on all the B's. But we've got a lot of authors and people who represent the community here in California, or are from California, or were from California. If we are fortunate enough to succeed in our quest to bring the Worldcon back to Southern California, we aim to redefine what it means to host an excellent convention. This will be an inclusive, progressive, and thoughtful event that balances the competing needs of the international fandom community. Excuse me. We are working with people who are members of marginalized communities to ensure that if we are selected to host the Worldcon, it will be a celebratory and it will be a welcoming event for all fans. Our venue, the Anaheim Convention Center, is where the previous 3 Worldcons have been held. Those of you who were here for one of those Worldcons will remember that overall it is an excellent facility and appropriate to hold the event. Since we last hosted the Worldcon here, the Anaheim Convention Center complex has undergone a complete expansion and renovation. It's now 20% larger than it was, and more importantly, they have improved accessibility and energy efficiency for the facility. We also have function space at the Anaheim Hilton, and our largest block of sleeping rooms will be located there. Additional sleeping rooms will be available at the Anaheim Marriott, but both the Marriott and Hilton are part of the convention center complex, providing easy access to all the convention happenings. Excuse me. Hosting a World Science Fiction Convention in Los Angeles is an opportunity to celebrate the rich tapestry of the genre and its profound impact on culture, society, and the collective imagination. It is a chance to bring together fans, creators, scholars, visionaries from every corner of the globe to exchange ideas, share experience, and forge lifelong connections. We hope to be honored with the privilege of hosting the World Science Fiction Convention in 2026. For more information about LA and our bid, you can visit our website at lain2026.org.
Thank you very much, and thank you for valiantly through drinking some water. So if anybody attending at the moment has any questions, just shout out, allow Joyce the chance to breathe a little part. I mean, that's really fascinating. There's such a strong history of going back to the same venue. It's been updated. The hotels have been updated since you last hosted as well, I think. What's the main flight paths and everything else into LA?
The main hub will be LAX International, but you can actually get into Anaheim through, I have just blanked. There's actually a airport that goes there. It's John Wayne. Sorry, they're all named after people. And Bob Hope is Burbank. John Wayne is Anaheim. They're all over the place. And so just bring up the right one. Sorry about that. What a lot of people do is they fly into LAX and they can get a shuttle down. Hope we're not going to announce this until I actually know it's done. But LAX is working on the Amtrak systems and the train systems to get people down from LAX down to Union Station so people could take the trains out. That is in process and it is building. If you've been to LAX lately, that is majorly under construction. John Wayne is better for Anaheim. That's what I was. So yeah, it is just it's easy to get to. It is LA. And when they talk about the traffic in LA, they actually are telling the truth. Depending on when you arrive, it could lengthen the amount of time it takes you to get to Anaheim. I believe a lot of people will do the LAX and get a connector down into John Wayne. And that's really easy to get around once you're down there.
What are your dates again?
I'm sorry. The cold is really causing issues right now. We are voting for August 27th through the 31st, 2026.
Okay, that's great. I could do with a late August holiday in LA. I hop over to see Catherine in Hawaii afterwards. Anybody here? I've just included the LA Adventure Away site in the chat, and we'll make sure that's also linked on the YouTube page. So, I mean, really, this was just more of a chance to let everybody see Joyce's presentation, because it's very often not seen unless you attend a previous Worldcon and are at the question times, or if you're at SmallCon, which is where con runners often congregate and have lots of questions about how a convention will be run. So we've covered site selection, we've covered who's potentially being voted on. To the panel, is there anything else that you want to put out here just now? And any questions from the attendees, please fire them in. And if you're not sure, you can always email in. Is there an email address for site selection or for any queries, or should they just email the info at for Glasgow?
It's site selection at glasgow2024.org, but I'll just type that in.
Brilliant, because I'm not sure if that's hyphenated or not, so that would be great.
I do want to remind people that the voting is not yet open. You
No.
can get really excited when you watch a town hall and be right ready to vote, because you did have that chance with the Hugos. It was
we were
open
very-
right after the town hall. But in this case, it is going to be a few weeks. I don't know if it's quite a few weeks, but soon in May, you'll see it coming up, and we'll send out an announcement.
Yeah, there'll be emails, there will be stuff on our socials. I'm sure that there will be stuff on LA's socials as well, pointing everybody to voting. It's a great way to sort of put your marker down for the next convention that you want to attend. And I hope you're all going to be doing it. I know I will. And I will also be doing it early because otherwise I forget things. So thank you everybody for today. I'm not going to keep us on too much longer. So we've now had 2 town halls looking at 2 of the aspects of WSPIS. The final aspect, and perhaps one that's very interesting for everybody involved, will be the business meeting. It ties together the other aspects that have been talked about. It ties together conversations in relation to the Hugos. It ties together conversations in relation to site selection. Our business meeting town hall will be on the 15th of June at 7 o'clock. BST, so British Summer Time, and it will be again live streamed on YouTube. The Eventbrite isn't ready yet. It will go and it will be put out on our socials when it's ready. We're just making sure everything is landing, and our chair for the business meeting will be in that event, along, I believe, hopefully with Catherine and Nicholas White, our head of WSPIS. So thank you everybody for coming. I hope you get to go out and have a good rest of your Saturday, whatever you're doing. And it was lovely to see you all today.